Hello everyone, and welcome to part 3 of the Network Services 2 room on TryHackMe.com. This video is going to be covering tasks 8, 9, and 10, basically the MySQL section of this room. So without further ado, let's get on into it. So to start, if you haven't terminated your machine from enumerating SMTP, go ahead and do that now. Jump down on here into task 9 and start up this VM for working with MySQL. All right, understanding MySQL. First question up, what type of software is MySQL? Simplest definition, it is a relational database management system. What language is MySQL based on? If you couldn't tell from the name, SQL. What communication model does MySQL use? I believe it's client server. Where is that? Oh, there it is. As we know, it uses a client server model. All right, what is a common application of MySQL? It is commonly used as a back-end database. What major social network uses SQL as their back-end database? This question answers the one before it. This will require further research. This one's easy enough to just copy and Google to the rescue, Facebook. All right, moving on to enumerating MySQL. Reads through. Under the scenario here, it's going to assume we already have the credentials of root as the username and password as the password. So keep those in mind for when we're going through some of these exploits and entering in usernames and passwords. If you don't already have MySQL, here's a quick command to install it. If you aren't sure, you can just type MySQL into your terminal. It'll let you know if you have it or not. All right, let's start out with the port scan. For this one, again, same creator. They'd want nmap minus capital A minus P minus is what they've recommended throughout. You can run through that. And as usual, I have that already prepared. So here we go. We've got port 22 open for SSH. That's something to keep in mind for later. And then port 3306 for MySQL. So what port is MySQL running on? 3306. A set of credentials. Let's log in. So we're going to do MySQL -H, the IP address of the machine, keeping in mind that yours will be different. Then -U, and then the username of root, -P. Going to ask for the password, which again was just password. And there we go, MySQL prompt, we're in. So now we know that works. Let's exit on out. SQL is also polite and says goodbye. And then we're going to fire up Metasploit and see what we can see. Metasploit Console, you can do -Q. It opens it up a little bit faster, but really it just skips the ASCII art. Kind of up to you what you want to do with that. The ASCII art is pretty cool, but here we go. We've got our Metasploit prompt. So we're going to be searching for MySQL_SQL. And we only found one. What 3 options do we need to set? So we're going to use 0, because this one is number 0. And we're going to do options to see what we have. We've got password is blank, our host is blank, and username is blank. So password, our hosts, and username. We're going to be running the exploit, so let's get those options set. Password is password. Our hosts is the IP address of the target machine. And then the username was root. Quick double check. Password, IP, root. All right, we'll run that. And we've got version 5.7.29-0, Ubuntu, etc. And that is the answer to that next question. So we can copy this, paste it on in. All right, now we're going to change this option right here of SQL, where it says select versions, to show databases. So set SQL, oh, I should give it the option, set SQL to show databases. There we go. And we're going to run that one. There we go. We've got those databases. So we got information schema, MySQL, performance schema, and sys. So we got 4. And then exploiting MySQL. So we've got credentials, we know what version it's running, and we know the number of databases and their names. Read through, schema is database in MySQL, but not in Oracle. Talks about hashes. All right. So first we're going to go to a new Metasploit module. This one is going to be MySQL underscore schema dump. So we're going to search MySQL underscore schema dump. Again, only got one option. What's the module's full name? Auxiliary scanner MySQL underscore schema dump. There we go. Set the relevant options. What's the name of the last table that gets dumped? So we're going to use 0 here. Set up options. Right here we've got passwords, our hosts, and a username that all need to be set. So set password to password. Set our hosts to the IP address of the target machine. And set username to root. We're going to run that one. All right, what's the name of the last table that gets dumped? So this one can take a second, but it should display a decent amount of information once it's done. There we go. So these are all the tables. This last one here is $, weights global by latency. So we're going to copy all of that, paste it on in. There we go. You've now dumped the tables and column names. We're going to do the Metasploit module MySQL hash dump next. So back out of this one, search MySQL underscore hash dump. This one came back with 2 options. As you can see, this top one is the one we're going for. So we're going to use 0. What's the full module's name? Auxiliary scanner, MySQL hash dump. Copy and paste that on over. Set the relevant options and run the exploit. All right. Click on options. Password, our host, and username, just like before. Set password to password. Set username to root. And set our hosts to the IP address. We'll run that one. That was quick. So we've got root, which is who we already are. MySQL session, MySQL sys, Debian sys maint, root, and Carl. Now one of these things is not like the others. So what non-default user stands out to you? I would say Carl stands out to me. Not curl though. Carl, there we go. All right, so we got the user, we got the password hash, which is this right over here. We're going to copy that hash into a text file. And it looks like we're going to be using John the Ripper to crack it. So what is the user hash combination string? Copy out this whole line. Paste it on in. There we go. So we're going to be putting this into a text file and then using John the Ripper. So I'm just going to open up a new terminal. Going to use nano. Paste that on in. Going to do Control O to create a file, hash.txt to write it out, and then Control X to exit out. And then keeping in mind that John needs sudo permissions. So we're going to sudo John hash.txt. Enter in the password for your machine. Oh. Did I mess that up? Let's double check. So it turns out I did mess that up. When I ran through this room initially to make sure I could do a good video on it, I ran John the Ripper and then forgot that once you crack a hash with John, it'll create a john.pot file with that hash stored. So if you try to do it again, it's not going to crack it again. So I went through, removed the john.pot, and then subsequently forgot to start the video back up. So once you've got your hash.txt file, you sudo john hash.txt. As you can see right here, this is where it put that .pot file. It'll run through and it'll get you your answer here. Doggy is the username, or sorry, Doggy is the password with Carl as the username. So back down here, we've got, nope, under exploiting, there we go. So we had already gotten this far. We've got, let's use John the Ripper. What's the password? Password is Doggy. And then we still had from our port scan the information that SSH was up on this unit. So we SSH into the machine using Carl as the username at the IP address. It'll ask you if you want to trust the credentials. You type in yes. Then you enter in the password, which is Doggy. And you'll get logged in as Carl. ls to see what's here. MySQL.txt. What is the contents of MySQL.txt? Cat that out to the screen and you've got TryHackMe. Congratulations, you got the MySQL flag. And that there is the end of these series of videos. Network Services 1 and 2 are done. Congratulations. You put in a lot of work. You got pretty far. Feel free to come down here into further learning. Read through more. It's always good, especially in security, to know as much as you can. Thanks for watching these videos. Sorry this one ended so weird. And I hope to see you guys on the next one.